On Ponce de Leon Avenue in Atlanta, there is a 7-story building from 1924 that has been restored into one of the more interesting places to stay in the city. The rooms are updated, the rooftop bar sells skyline views, and the restaurant on the main floor does a French-influenced supper club concept in a space with genuine old bones. And in the basement, the Claremont Lounge has been operating continuously since 1965. Not as a theme bar, not as a nostalgic callback dressed up for a new clientele. It is still exactly what it was. When Hotel Claremont was restored, the ownership made a deliberate choice to leave the Claremont Lounge where it was and what it was. A boutique hotel above, an unreconstructed dive bar strip club below. The same address, the same elevator, 2 entirely different Atlantas stacked on top of each other. That combination tells you more about this part of the city than any tourism campaign has managed to. Because the story along this corridor from Ponce de Leon Avenue down through Old Fourth Ward and southeast along the BeltLine is not about a neighborhood that cleared away its past and replaced it with something marketable. It's about a city that kept building on top of itself, layer by layer, and left enough evidence behind that you can still read the whole sequence if you know where to look. If you have been to Atlanta and done the standard visitor circuit, you already know what that version of the city looks like. The Georgia Aquarium, the World of Coca-Cola, Centennial Olympic Park, the College Football Hall of Fame, a convention hotel and a restaurant within walking distance of it. That Atlanta is efficient. It's built for volume and it delivers what it promises. But there is a different Atlanta that most visitors never find, not because it's hidden, but because no one tells you to go there. It's east of downtown, anchored by a former Sears warehouse, threaded together by a converted freight rail corridor, and populated almost entirely by Atlantans going about their actual lives. This is where people in the city eat lunch, walk their dogs, meet friends on a Saturday, and spend an afternoon without really thinking about it as a tourist experience, which is exactly why it's worth your time. Before we go anywhere, the geography needs to be precise, because locals will notice if we blur the map. Hotel Claremont sits at 789 Ponce de Leon Avenue in Ponce Highland. Ponce City Market is a short walk west at 675 Ponce, inside Old Fourth Ward. Historic Fourth Ward Park is directly south of Ponce City Market. The BeltLine's East Side Trail runs along this edge of the neighborhood and carries you southeast through Inman Park toward Krog Street Market and the Krog Street Tunnel. Old Fourth Ward is also the neighborhood most directly tied to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Auburn Avenue, Ebenezer Baptist Church, the King Center, and Dr. King's birth home are all part of the broader Old Fourth Ward and Sweet Auburn story. The National Park Service administers the King National Historical Park at 450 Auburn Avenue. That is a full day on its own, and it deserves one. What we are covering here is the Ponce and BeltLine corridor, which operates as its own complete experience. The modern version of this story normally starts with the building itself, Ponce City Market. But the land has a much longer history of drawing people to it, and that history is part of what makes the place worth understanding. Ponce de Leon Springs attracted Atlantans as early as the 1860s. By 1874, the horse-drawn Atlanta Street Railway was already running visitors out here from the city center. The 9-mile Circle streetcar line followed in the 1890s. This was not empty land waiting to be discovered. It was already part of Atlanta's leisure geography. In 1903, the Springs were converted into Ponce de Leon Park, an amusement park that Atlantans nicknamed the Coney Island of Atlanta. In 1907, a lake across from the park was drained and converted into a ballpark where the Atlanta Crackers played for decades. The Atlanta Black Crackers also played on this site from 1919 into the early 1950s, during the era when Atlanta's racial geography showed up even in something as routine as where you watched a ball game. In 1925, Sears, Roebuck & Company bought 16 acres along Ponce de Leon Avenue and constructed a retail store and regional distribution center for the southeastern United States. The footprint ran from Ponce on the north to North Avenue on the south, Glen Iris on the west, and the Southern Railway on the east. This was not a neighborhood retail building. It was built to move freight across a region, and it operated that way for decades before Atlanta eventually acquired it and converted it into municipal offices. By the time Jamestown bought the building and began converting it into Ponce City Market, it was running at roughly 10% occupancy. The BeltLine corridor was being planned along the old rail line to the south. The timing of those two things arriving together is what made the modern version of this story possible. Springs, streetcars, an amusement park, segregated baseball, a Sears distribution machine, a government office building, all of it on the same land before anyone called it Ponce City Market. The scale of Ponce City Market is the first thing you notice, and it does not let go. Long corridors, industrial windows, a massive brick that was engineered to move goods through a region, not to entertain people. That original purpose still sits in the bones of the place, and the building is more interesting because of it than despite it. What struck me spending time here is how easy it is to walk through and miss the history entirely. It's not hidden. The vintage photographs from the Sears era are mounted along the hallways. Old newspaper headlines appear inside the elevators. Pieces of machinery from the building's working life are on display in several locations throughout the building. None of it necessarily stops you, none of it demands your attention. It's there for visitors who slow down and invisible to everyone moving at lunch pace. That gap between what the building offers and what most people absorb is one of the more honest things about Ponce City Market. The tenants are worth your time if you engage them on their own terms. Postman Books gives the building a real independent bookstore, which matters in a space that could have easily settled for a branded retail chain. Elkhead is the kind of shop that earns a second lap. Good clothing, solid gear, the kind of curation that suggests someone actually thought about what belongs there rather than filling square footage. On the food side, Spiller Park Coffee, Honeysuckle Gelato, and a handful of others give you enough range that you can spend real time here without planning around a single meal. The roof is worth a stop before you leave. Skyline Park sits on top of a former Sears warehouse on land that was already an amusement park billed as the Coney Island of Atlanta more than a century ago. The games and skyline views are genuinely fun. They also carry a longer memory than the marketing suggests. Just south of Ponce City Market is historic Fourth Ward Park, and it earns more attention than it usually gets. It reads at first as a well-designed urban park. Lawns, water, walking paths, a playground, skyline views, people moving easily between the green space and the BeltLine. The park was also built to manage a serious flooding problem in this low-lying area, and the retention pond at the center is functional infrastructure, not decoration. From the park, the BeltLine's East Side Trail is the thing that makes the whole corridor operate as a visitor experience rather than a collection of separate stops. The trail follows a former freight rail corridor. Along the stretch, it connects Ponce City Market, the park, Inman Park, Krog Street Market, and the Krog Street Tunnel into a single continuous walk. You are moving along an old industrial line that once served warehouses and rail yards, now carrying pedestrians, cyclists, runners, families, dog walkers, and a steady stream of people who live in these neighborhoods and use this trail the way other cities use Main Street. This is not a manufactured tourist corridor. It is infrastructure that Atlantans actually use, and visitors move through it alongside them rather than being funneled into a separate experience. Not too long ago, Atlanta BeltLine formalized an ambassador program on the East Side and West Side trails. We encountered those ambassadors on this walk, and they were visible, easy to approach, and useful for navigation. The trail is actively managed. It is still a busy urban environment, and attention still matters, but the corridor is more approachable than it might appear from a map. Follow the East Side Trail southeast from Ponce City Market long enough, and you reach Krog Street Market. By that point, you're in Inman Park, not Old Fourth Ward, and locals will catch it if you flatten that distinction. Krog Street Market operates inside a former industrial building near Edgewood Avenue. The site was home to Atlanta Stove Works beginning in the late 1800s, where cast iron stoves were manufactured for decades. It functions as a stop rather than an anchor. You go in, eat something, look around the vendors, and move on. The Krog Street Tunnel nearby is a different kind of stop entirely. It is dense with street art, tags, murals, event notices, and layers of paint laid down over years with no particular editorial control. It is the least curated thing in this corridor, and deliberately so. After the scale and relative polish of Ponce City Market, Krog gives you something unmanaged and still actively being made. The corridor shifts character as you move through it. That is part of what makes the walk the right way to experience it. What stuck with me on this trip was not the market or the rooftop or the history mounted on the walls inside the elevators. It was the BeltLine on an ordinary afternoon. Runners, dog walkers, people grabbing coffee, kids on bikes, couples walking without any particular destination, just Atlantans outside on a Monday. You do not get that at the aquarium. You do not get it at Centennial Olympic Park. You get it here, on a trail that used to move freight and now moves people who actually live in these neighborhoods. That is why folks keep coming back to this part of Atlanta, and why I think it's a worthy alternative to some of those spots downtown.